Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I have a question for you. At this moment in time, how would you rate your own happiness? On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you at this moment in time? I'll give you a few seconds to reflect and think. I'm not going to ask each of you individually to share what your score is, but let's just check with a show of hands. Who in this audience would rate the happiness at this moment in time as a 7? Please raise your hand. So there's a few 7s there. Do we have a few people who score themselves as an 8 at this moment? Quite a few, very good. Maybe a few 9s as well? Wow, great to see. And do we have a few 10s maybe as well? Half a 10. Fantastic. Thank you very much. For me, happiness is a concept I've been intrigued by for a long, long time. I read books about them, and I understand there's a lot of people who actually wrote even PhDs around them, and even there's professors now looking into happiness. One thing happened to me earlier this year, an experience which really changed my views on happiness. And it was not about a book, and it was not about a professor. It was an experience I had, and I would like to share that with you. It was about 2 months ago. I was with a few friends of mine, and we had the honor to spend some time in Ghana in Africa, and mainly in Accra, the capital of Ghana. We spent time there visiting different orphanages. And at each of those places, every day we went to a different place. We played with the children, and we ran some workshops, some theater workshops, to have fun with the children. And these were quite tough circumstances that we encountered. One day, for example, we were in an orphanage where we had about 100 children who all had Down's syndrome. And the next day, we spent with about 80 girls who were victims of human trafficking. And yet another day, we spent time in a hospital for mentally and physically handicapped children. So these were challenging circumstances, but at the same time very rewarding. And there was one moment that I will never forget, and that was when we were in this psychiatric hospital I mentioned. So picture this, it was around 35 degrees Celsius, it was very warm, we were outside with this group of children. And we had a ball with us, and we thought we want to give each of these children, this was a relatively small group, about 15 children, we wanted to give each of these children a special moment. So I was the goalkeeper, we made a little goal with 2 chairs, and each of them was allowed to hit the ball and actually score a goal, and then everybody would cheer and shout for these children. So that's exactly what we did. I was standing there as a goalkeeper, we had the 2 chairs, and one after the other tried to score. Sometimes they missed, so they had another chance, and they scored, and everybody was cheering, and we could see they really enjoyed it. So at the moment I thought pretty much all of the children had scored their goals, so I checked is there anybody else, and a few started shouting, "Yeah, Kofi, Kofi." And sure enough, I looked around, and there was one guy in a wheelchair who hadn't been invited yet to score. And this guy, he is 12 or 13 years old. Actually, nobody knows exactly his age. He's an orphan, and he is paralyzed from the waist down, so he cannot actually move his legs. And his name is Kofi Moses. And the word Kofi, as part of a name in Ghana, or actually in Africa in general, means simply he is born on a Friday. So if ever you get a Trivial Pursuit question on what day Kofi Annan is born, now you know it was indeed on a Friday. So Kofi Moses, we got him to the front, but of course he could not move his legs, so we had a bit of a challenge because we definitely wanted him to score a goal. So one friend of mine held the wheelchair, another friend of mine held the ball in front of the wheelchair while I was still standing in between the 2 chairs. And with some synchronization we tried to move him such that he actually could score a goal. This was not as easy as it sounds. We tried a few times, and once actually he did score, but he was looking somewhere else, so we had to do it again, so that he actually could feel the experience. But lo and behold, in the end, he did actually score. And I was rolling around in the dirt to increase a bit the impact of his goal. And when I looked back up again, I saw the biggest grin I've ever seen. Kofi Moses had just scored. Everybody was shouting his name and cheering, both the children as well as the nurses and ourselves. And he was beaming from ear to ear. And that moment really struck with me. And later I thought, why is it? And I realized why it was. I realized that I actually learned something from Kofi that day. I realized that very often I have something which I call conditional happiness, which means I'll be happy once I have A, B, or C. I'll be happy once I have my next job promotion. I'll be really happy once I got my whole finance situation sorted out. I'll be happy when I'm really, 100% physically fit. I'll be happy once I got that new cabaret car. And I realized this conditional happiness is a choice. And Kofi Moses had a different choice. He showed happiness 10 on a scale of 10 just by being there, by being alive, and by being in those circumstances. And I realized we all have a choice. Every day when we get up, every day when we go to work, we have our activities. We have a choice. Are we conditionally happy? Are we thinking, I first want to have this meeting done, I first want to have that next project done, and then I'll be happy? Or are we saying, no, actually, I'll be 10 out of 10 happy today just because I can, just because I'm alive? Frankly, if you look at Kofi's circumstances, it's not an easy life he is living. Not only he is orphan, he doesn't have any parents, also he doesn't have any possessions. The only possessions he has is 2 sets of clothes. 1 set of normal clothes and 1 set of special clothes. And the day he scored that goal, he was allowed to wear the set of special clothes. He has no savings account. He probably has difficulties having a future involving anything related to study or really decent work. And at the same time, he showed that happiness 10 out of 10. Therefore, dear colleagues, I would like to invite you all. I would like to invite you to try it out. To try it out for a moment, for a Saturday afternoon, for a day. Try and decide to live 10 out of 10 on a scale of happiness just because you can. There's a guy called Burton Mills, and he said, happiness is not a destination, it's a way of living. I would like to add to that, it's not only a way of living, it's a choice that any individual can make to pursue that way of living. That is all I wanted to say, and in case you were wondering how happy I am, it is 10 out of 10. Thank you.